am excited because we've been talking a lot about how we want to use what we have, and just thought, okay, well, I have these dollar store napkins that I can just go ahead and use. I mean, I've bought, this is dollar store napkin. Actually, this is a funny story, so I'll leave that in a second. Not only dollar store napkins, I've got napkins from Etsy, and sometimes people sell like bulks of napkins. Look at this gorgeous one, okay, for example. And this one is from the dollar store here in Canada, but I mean anywhere. Like, you can just find so many cool things. And I want to know if anybody has ever done this while I get the set up. So, do you ever go to like a dinner party or like go out for dinner? I mean, I went to my parents for dinner, but and somebody uses this gorgeous napkin or other things, and you, instead of using it for dinner, you actually keep it and put it in your purse because you can use it for crafting or basically anything else. I'm just curious what kind of things you guys maybe kind of putting your, taking your purse, or just, I sometimes ask the host, but I mean, it was my mom, and I use this. I got, like, I really love this birdie ones. I thought, oh my God, those would look so good in my collaging them in my, yeah, extra. Yeah. So I did ask for extra napkins. It was my mom, but I have done this before. In restaurants, I've taken like doilies and things like that are really cool. When I was a kid, I used to collect napkins. We used to go to different places. Like, I don't know, like we used to go to places like, I don't know, whatever. We would go like the US and travel, and we would stop at different places and basically, um, take napkins and collect them. But I don't have that collection anymore. That would have been good to keep. So what I like to do is I like to take napkins, and what you should be doing is removing this one. I already did because I actually already used it. And you remove the extra layer. My friend Ingrid, if you've ever seen her doing this, she actually monoprinted with a napkin, and it's so cool. So you can definitely monoprint with napkins. That would be like really cool. She's done that, and it's brilliant. So yeah, so if you want to do that, you can save the white. I'm going to use this one today. I think it's really cool. I really like the square designs, and you can see here that I use the same thing. Now somehow I have this space here that I was trying to avoid, but let's see if I do this. If I zoom in a little bit, will it let me do that? Okay, let me see now. I'm zoomed out. No, it's okay, a little bit better. Okay, so what I like doing is collaging with napkins. I mean, we used to do like a lot of decoupage, and I love using the matte medium for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my background. And this is clogged. Of course, when I forgot to check this, I literally ran at the end of Tiffany's live to fill up my water bottles because I almost forgot that they were not full. Ugh, sorry, it's clogged. See, like there's a little clogged glue there. Okay. So I'm going to add this. And what I like doing is I like saving one paintbrush, and I use this paintbrush. It's actually always sitting in water because when I use it with the gel medium, it always dries up, and I don't like the way it dries up. So what I do is I use it to, I put it in water so that way it won't dry. And I mean, I know it's not great, but these is dollar store paintbrushes. So that way, even if it dries up, it doesn't really matter. Even if it gets ruined, it doesn't really matter. Now, I am going to do this. I really like these squarish kind of things. I didn't particularly wanted the forks and knives to be here, but I didn't have a choice about that. So let me just put some more glue here. So if you cannot separate the two layers, that's okay. Although they will separate sometimes once you add the, oops, wrong one. Once you add the, how do you call this? Once you add the paint, I mean, you add the gel, sorry. So that happens sometimes. Now, if you look at this one up here, I actually didn't, I don't know why everything is zoomed in like this. I actually didn't, put the napkin at the top, but I didn't like that. So this time I'm actually going to put the napkin all the way to the top. And you could collage little different pieces of it, and you'll see what I'm going to do soon in a second, because I am not loving every single piece of this napkin. So you can definitely cover parts of it as well. You can always obviously cut things as well. So if you don't want to, I could have cut this before. Now this is a small art journal, and the reason why I like working with this small art journal is because it's doable, especially not only for lives, but sometimes I just want to create and I just don't want to use a huge art journal because it just takes a long time and there's a lot of surface to cover. So I prefer not doing that. So I tend to buy these smaller journals now and just kind of use them. I've been falling in love with that. It's something that I feel it just has helped me so much because I really sometimes I'm stuck when I don't want to create, and I just feel that having a small journal really helps. Now I have all of the supplies that listed below. Obviously, these napkins are not going to be exact, but you can definitely find. You can go to your local dollar store and you'll definitely find napkins that are have script on them or different things. So the possibilities are really endless. So, for example, I really wanted like kind of to have like squares, like almost like a collage square. So you have to make sure that you seal each layer separately. But I can definitely take, I love these music notes. So that's something that I could just cut off and just add to it. So for example, so this is actually, because Ingrid is asking why I use matte medium over gel medium. So it is, so I actually just did a video about this. I just did a video about gel mediums. So matte medium is just, sorry, this medium is actually a fluid medium, okay, compared to gel medium. So gel medium is, there's different types of gel mediums. There is the fluid one, which is what I'm using right now. And they come both in matte and in, you see how it says fluid here? I don't know, it's hard to see. Yeah, there, this is fluid. So all gel mediums come in matte or glossy or semi-gloss. So depending on what you buy, you're going to have different types of thicknesses. So for example, I love using this one, the matte medium or the fluid medium, because it is so fluid and it actually, you don't have to like use as much and it's not as thick. It takes less time to dry. Then you have the regular gel medium, which is, I think, what you used, Ingrid, before to mix. I think it's the one you use. Then you have a little bit of a thicker medium. So it's kind of like creates like a 3D effect. And I can show you, actually, I'll show you today how to use that. I just recently showed it in a video, so you can go watch that after. I am going to be directing straight to Ingrid's live, but you can watch it on a later time. And then there is the super thick medium. And my rule is like this for me, gel mediums is like the thinner the material, the lighter the gel medium you're going to use. So for example, for napkins, paper, tissue paper, deli paper, whatever you want, rice paper, anything paperish related, I love using the fluid medium, or like what you said, the regular gel medium is like this. It's the most that I would use. I wouldn't use anything thicker than that. As you get into the thicker things where you're collaging things on top of other things. So for example, like the cover of my art journal, this, okay, it's a very thick, heavy piece made out of resin. So for that, you're going to use the super heavy or the heavier gel mediums. The one in between, I will show you soon how to use. And it's not this one. It's I'll show you in a second. Yeah, it's also called like gloss 3D, and it's a gloss one. And they call it 3D, but it's a bit of a heavier one. And I'm going to show you what to do with it in a second. But let's first like finish collaging here. So my rule is the heavier the material, the thicker the gel medium. Doesn't matter if it's gloss or matte. I prefer the matte usually only because the gloss really dries sticky, and I don't like it. Takes, even when after you dry it, it's sticky. However, what I'm going to do today, you will see I'm going to use gloss, and it looks really amazing with gloss. So, I mean, there's options, okay? As I said, but I do prefer the matte, especially for collaging. I prefer matte in general. So You're anxious to see my finished project. Okay, well, I have just started. So we have time. So let me just, so you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of covering what I didn't like, which I didn't want. I'm not making any themed food. Sorry, I'm like off here. I'm not making any food item, any food themed stuff. So I didn't want the forks in there. If you are, obviously don't cover that. But I wanted to kind of create this really nice grid. Now, it doesn't matter if it's straight. Absolutely not. It doesn't make a difference if it's straight, especially in art journaling, because you can easily, like, fix it with a little bit of gesso. And the whole point of art journaling is just expanding your creativity, doing something that you love. And it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect. I abhor, if that's the right word, perfection. I am the one person that always says perfectly imperfect is perfect enough, right? I don't know. Do I ever say that? And somebody, Ingrid, Tiffany, Laura, do I say that? I think I do say it a lot. So I was really excited to join. We were at today with Ingrid and Tiffany because it's just fun to go live. We are enjoying the going live process, and this time we're linking to each other. It's a new feature that YouTube has. So yeah. Okay, that's good. I like this. Okay. So, oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Amy. I'm glad that so many people joined. It's perfect. Now, the most important part of gel medium, most important part, remember this: drying. I can't emphasize enough that you must dry your surface really well. The more you dry, the drier the surface is, the more you're going to be happier with the results. Because if it's not dry and you've put other things on, you're not going to like it. You're going to be like, oh no, what have I done? Because things are going to get mixed with each other. There are some techniques that I've done in the past where I have used wet gel medium and added color to it, and that's maybe an idea for a different day. But the general rule is dry, dry, dry. And you see why I like this one, this brand. I mean, this is a Liquitex one, but Golden and others make it too. The reason why I like it so much, it's because it actually dries so quickly. So it's just, okay, I'm done, it's dry, I'm good. What else did I add here? So I think we're good for this background. I might just cut this thing because this is bothering me. I don't like what happens is after when I add the paint, it's harder to add. Oh, you see? Okay, so here's a perfect example what happens when things are not dry or it doesn't have enough gel. So it's perfectly okay to go back, okay, and just kind of add gel medium on top to make sure everything is really dry. So don't be afraid that if you didn't dry it properly, okay, you can go back and just add more gel medium, okay? And that is good as well. Now, you can see here a perfect example why I like the matte medium. If this was glossy, it will be really sticky, and I do not like it. And also it will be shiny. And I like shimmer, not shine, if that makes sense, okay? Okay, so let me just dry a little bit again, this part. And as you can see also, I already cut the two little birdies. I pre-cut them just so that way I don't have to do that later. But I'm just going to dry here. Okay. Now I am going to do a little bit of gessoing. Now you don't have to do this, but you can. I just like the gesso because gesso protects everything. So there's two options here. You could go with clear gesso because I really don't like covering all my design. Or you can take white gesso, which is what I usually do. You take white gesso and you just add a little bit of it, but you have to kind of whitewash it, if that makes sense. So, sorry, I'm just opening it here. So what you do is I usually like adding a little bit of gesso, and I don't take the thickest one because I'm going to whitewash. And what I do is I mix it with a little bit of water. So yeah, so this is like the perfect solutions if you want to to have like gesso, but don't want to have it so like more transparent. If you want to have it more transparent, I meant to say. So now I want to, like, for example, I want to cover this quattro thing. I don't know if I want that word. And what I like about napkins, another thing I really love about napkins, is that it creates a really cool texture. Like, I mean, you could easily just use the white napkin that I got here and just glue it to the background and create a really nice texture in the background, okay? So I am adding here, and let's say I added too much and I don't like as much as that I added. I just add a little bit of water and then just take a baby wipe and just remove some of it, okay? So there's always a possibility. I mean, once it's dry, you can't technically do that, but when it's wet, it's good. So I'm even going to, hold on. I'm even going to water it a little bit because I really want like a whitewash. Like, it's kind of like dimming the color, but not covering all the beautiful texture that I have in the background. Now, oh, somebody's saying about, okay. So, and then I even want to remove some of it too, because I really want the really great texture in the background as well. I want the colors, I want the design, okay? And I might use gesso again afterwards, but right now I just want to just add a little bit. So it kind of blends everything together and it looks really, really nice. Okay, I'll cover that up. And again, you go back and you dry. So every layer needs to be dried up over and over again, because as you're adding things on top, you're going to have to, you know, dry more and more. So that's important. Okay, what's the difference with, somebody's asking what's the difference with gesso and gel medium? Gesso is a primer, and what it does is like basically the base for everything, and gel medium is more like a glue. Now, what I would recommend is that you go back to the last 3-4 videos that I've done. There is one just that the last one is just on gel medium. It will help you a lot to differentiate between that, and that one leads to the gesso one. So I literally just the past few weeks, I did one on gesso and one on gel medium. So you should be able to see the difference in that. And that. Okay, now look at here. Like, for example, it's ripping, but I think it's cool. So this is maybe a little mistake. Maybe it's a little bit wet, but it just looks so cool when I ripped it. I almost want to do that in a few other places. So you can just create these little holes in there. Yeah, so please go ahead and do that. If you want to learn like this in depth, I have my Patreon page, which I do one of these art journaling tutorials where I explain everything very, very well every month. It's once a month. The next one is this Friday for May, and it's $10 a month. You join. The link is in the description along with everything else. And that way you really, like, there's not as many people on, like there is only a few of us, and we learn one-on-one, and we really, like, you know, it really helps to learn everything. I mean, to learn more and more techniques and just get better at the art journaling and the mixed media. So now I'm going to use this. And the only reason I'm using gloss is because literally that's the only thing I had. I couldn't find the matte one. I think I ran out of matte. Now you're going to see the difference in the viscosity of this, or how thick it is, okay? And this is going back to your question, Ingrid. So you can see that this is almost like a paste, okay? Let me just it's almost like a paste. And what I'm going to do, I wasn't going to do this, but because you guys asked, I did it in the other journal and I wasn't 100% happy, but I'm going to like do it here just to show you how cool it looks. So you could do stenciling just on its own with the gel medium, and you're going to get this clear effect. So that's just to show you. Okay, I'm using one of this is called the Moroccan tile stencil. This is one that I designed, and you can find that at Joggles. And the link is below again. And let me just show you, for example, okay? So I'm going to show you here that you can use this as a paste because it's so thick. You can use this to create a paste. I mean, to create a design. Now, this is going to dry clear. So unlike modeling paste that dries opaque, this is going to dry clear. So it's kind of going to help create this design, but you're not really going to see it until, well, you'll see it now, but once it dries, you will not be able to see it. In terms of like the other option you have, and this is, I like doing this a lot as well, is to mix something into it. And this I showed in the other video because it's so cool to mix things into it. So I'm actually going to take, I originally mixed it with this type of glitter, which is a little bit thicker, but I am thinking I'm going to mix it with thinner glitter. Hold on. So that way, if I can find it, what had happened to the box? I had a fine glitter here on my counter. And now maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have to mix it with this one because it got lost in the mess that I have here. Oh, no, there it is. I found it. So I'm going to mix. See, I have these little fine glitters, and I'm sure who doesn't have a million packs of glitter in their stash, right? I don't know if you guys do. Hold on, I'm trying to open this. So you could mix the gel medium with glitter or with basically any type of sand or beads or basically anything. And what's the beauty about that is that because it dries clear, it will just keep the glittery effect. Now, the nice thing about the glitter part is that, I don't know, I think my friend Tiffany is the one that hates glitter because it goes everywhere. But when you're mixing it with the gel medium, you're good. Yeah, the journal, sorry, yeah, so the link to, sorry, I was reading the text and I was, so you can mix as much glitter as you want and you'll get this glittery paste, which is great. Now this journal, yeah, it's linked to Amazon. That's the only place that actually I found the size, Amazon.com, and it's great. So yeah, that's a good point. Glitter or no glitter? Well, that is the question, because people get very, very like frustrated when glitter goes basically everywhere. Okay, so it's not fun to have glitter everywhere. Okay, so now this is cool. Okay, so you see how I mixed it? I'm going to take my oops, sorry, I don't have it on. I'm going to take my stencil back. Okay, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to basically stencil the glitter onto my background. Now, a lot of companies sell you very glittery paste, and that's good, and you can definitely buy it from them, but I'm sure you could get use of all the glittery stuff that you've had in the past. I mean, I don't really know any crafter that has not bought glitter at one point or another in their crafty life. So I mean, very few people don't buy glitter. Glitter is like a staple. And you're going to see like little hints of glitter kind of showing through after when I add the magicals. So I'm going to be adding the magicals. Those are the powders we've been working on all day. And yeah, so let me show you. Oh, first of all, so how beautiful it's on the stencil. And if you own some of my stencils, please feel free to, I would love to see what you create with them. So do me a favor and just like tag me on Instagram or show me on look how glitter it is, or share it in my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group, Keren, Tamir and Friends Creative Friend. No, Keren, Tamir and Friends Creative Space. You can see it like in the description below, and you will be able to like, I would love to see what you create if you do have my stencil. So that's good. Yeah, so this is a good way to use it. Now, there's other ways to do it, and I will keep this just to show you something cool at the end, but let me just first dry this. And actually, no, I let it air dry because very important thing to do with gel medium is get it off your stencils as quick as possible, because otherwise it will just dry on and will create this kind of layer on top. Now you can also mix, and you'll see that I did that in my video, the one that I'm telling you to watch. I really mixed the gel medium with the magicals, which is what I'm going to get next. And you can create your own paints the way Ingrid did before. And you'll see also I'm linking directly to her video, to her live, so you'll be able to see that as well. Yeah, I have some really nice stencils. You can look in the link for stencils for joggles and look under my name, or I mean, they're linked below in the description. And I have some really nice ones. I think I'm proud of my stencil. Now, I want to show you here that while I'm drying, because I don't want to waste time, okay? I use the thicker glitter in this one, but I found that because it was an art journal, like it stuck out too much, and I did not like the results. Like in the sense, I mean, it looks really nice in texture, but I couldn't get stuff on top. Now look what's happening here. How cool is that? Let me show you. As it's drying, the gel is drying clear, and I'm getting the beautiful stencil design with all the gold on it. So how cool is that? So if you don't know what to do, use your gel medium through a stencil or mix it with glitter, mix it with magicals, and you will just love it. There's so many different things you can do with it. So as I said, gel medium needs to dry really well. So I am just letting it dry as well. Now, I'll open these jars while I'm drying because I don't want to like you guys to wait too long. Now, I can't remember which orange colors I used, so I'll tell you what the colors are I'm using today. So there is the Red Hot Poker Orange. I can't remember what set is it from. Then there is the Hagwort. That's funny. I think it's a Halloween set, but I think it reminds me of Harry Potter. And this Bayou Boogie Gold, that one actually is sold separately. So you can definitely buy just that one. It doesn't have to be in a set. But I love so many of their colors. Honestly, like I'm obsessed with them. So you can find all the links to the magicals and everything else below. Wow, this is looking so cool. I am beyond excited about the glitter. So, okay, just want to make sure it's dry. So this is the reason, this is if you notice, because this gel is thicker, it's taking longer for it to dry. And also it's glossy. So it feels sticky to touch. And that's my problem always. When it feels sticky to touch, I can't really always tell if it's fully dry. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit. I'm going to go back with the gesso before I actually add the colors. And the reason is because I want to kind of create a little bit more of a composition. And to do that, I'm going to take another brush. One sec. Okay. So I'm going to go back with this, and I feel like it needs to cover a little bit of the composition over here. So I'm going to leave the areas where there's glitter, but kind of cover the areas where there is, not all of it, but like where there isn't. So I'm going to add a little bit more white because I'm probably going to be putting one of the birds over here. So I want to have it a little bit more covered, okay, if that makes sense. All right, so yeah, and so this is a good way to kind of fix the composition. So in the areas where I don't have the texture, I am adding a little bit more of white. So that's kind of framing everything, if that makes sense. And I literally added so little bit. Now the gesso is going to help a lot with the magicals. Now, one tip that I don't know anybody mentioned, do not use your dryer on top of the magicals because they will fly away. They're still powder. So you have to be careful. I kind of move them away. Another thing I really like doing is having these two side by side because it kind of gives you an idea of where I'm going, okay? Okay, so now we're dry. And one of the things are really important with magicals, and we've been talking about magicals for the past 3 hours, so 3.5 hours, is water. Water is so important because it turns everything to watercolor. So I love using watercolor brushes, okay? This is my favorite way to use magicals, is to kind of have them going between the texture. And how I do that is I start by like basically adding water onto the background, and then I started adding color. So I'll take a little bit. Now, I know Tiffany said not to put your paintbrush back, but I do. You just have to be very careful with it. The other option is to use like a palette. Like I actually sometimes do this where I put them here. But I don't know what it is about dipping into the actual thing. I just use the tip, okay? So that way I don't get it all clumpy inside, but I still use it. So, I mean, if you do it, don't freak out, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. You can do that. I just noticed here that this is not glued, and this has happened sometimes as well. So just use some, you know, gel medium and glue it together. I like also combining two colors. So while everything is wet, okay, I am going to add like a darker color of this and let it run. Okay, so this is kind of how I add the, how I add, sorry, Tiffany, I just read your comment. No, I do not craft naked, and I'm not even in my pajamas. I actually got dressed this morning, believe it or not. I know we've been for 2 years in our pajamas, but yeah, but that's funny. Anyways, so I do laugh about that. So I am going to add the colors here, and I picked orange because I'm actually working with the birds. We're kind of orangey, but you can easily pick blue. Now you can see here, you see how it went black? Some of these colors, like Ingrid said before, they have other tones in them. They kind of mix together. And if you get some of those, you're going to get that. But I love that. I don't mind that it does that because it looks so good. And what I like doing is kind of adding more water and letting it run down the page. Okay, so I'm going to add some of the gold. And soon you're going to see how I add black. Black is like my best friend. Okay, I know some people are scared of black, but black is like my best friend, and you're going to see why. Okay, there's something about it. Now, what I like about the Magicals is that they stay wet for a while. So you really have options to kind of play around with them. Unlike acrylic paints, which actually dry really quickly, like fluid acrylics would be something. I've used fluid acrylics to do this exact same technique, but I find that they're a little bit more, they dry a little bit faster, right? So it's really hard to kind of get, it's really hard to get, how do you call this? What was I saying? Oh my gosh. I just completely, somebody remind me what I was saying. Oh my God, I completely forgot. I think I read a comment and then I completely sidetracked. So if somebody can remind me what was I saying about the Magicals? Oh my gosh. Oh, that they stay wet. Now I remembered. Oh my God, that was terrible. This is like, what is it called? A brain fart or something like that? Oh my gosh. Okay, so with fluid acrylics, it is they dry much faster, so that's why it's harder. Oops, let me go back down. So yeah, so I like that they stay wet, and you're going to see why in a second. And here I'm going to let this dry, go down in between the really nice stencil design. Okay, so you see how it's bunching here in the middle? I just usually just grab a wipe and just kind of wipe that off. Now, the nice thing about this is because I have that napkin in the middle, it is not technically, let's see, it's not technically transferring to the next page, which is nice. Okay, so I'm following the same kind of composition lines. So here I am working on this area over here because I have the white, and then I'm going to work on this area over here because I have white as well. So I kind of get everything mixed with the white, and the gesso really helps. Gesso underneath the Magicals is really important, okay? Now I almost want to add a little bit of magenta. I don't know why. Don't guess me why, but I will do that. So Evelyn, they are not permanent when they're dry. You would have to, if you want, I don't usually seal them because I just I work in my art journal, but if you do want to, you can use like what Tiffany did. If it's a card, for example, you could use, or even an art journal, you could use the distressed microglaze, okay? Or you could spray them with a sealant, okay? They're kind of like watercolors. So if think of that, even though they're not watercolor based, they're actually pigments. They're dye pigments. There. Now, in the website, if you go to the Lindy's Magical, I had to ask about that because it says they have a fixative. But the fixative actually, and I just found this out, is actually only for the shimmer part. So what it does is that keeps the fixative, keeps the shimmer fixed when you're when you're applying it. So the color stays, the pigment usually stays, but from what I understand, the mica will not stay if it's not fixed to the color, so it will not stay on the background. So you do need that. Now, if you notice here, I added like a little bit of, how do you call this? The magenta color. This is called, let me just tell you. Oh, no, it's autumn. Oh, no, it's a crimson color. Autumn maple crimson. I love this color. But when I mix it with the actual orange, look how pretty it looks. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit more color in this one that I want. Not that I want, sorry, that I got in this one. And now I'm going to add the black. Now, instead of adding the magicals, I am actually adding, it's also by Lindy's, and you can also use distress glaze, not distress glaze, distress spray. And this is called a Fabio, flat Fabio. That means that it's flat, it's not shimmery. And while this is still wet, I love adding it. So I actually don't spray it. I take it out, and using the spout, I just add here. And this, while it's still wet, it starts kind of seeping into my wet area and creates a really nice border. And this, sometimes I add it in everywhere, sometimes I don't. And that it depends on the composition, okay? Yes, yeah, hairspray works. I've used hairspray before to seal it, so that would work as well. Yeah, no problem. Hairspray, I mean, it's cheap, so why not? It's obviously, if you want to sell it as artwork or something, I wouldn't. But if you're doing it for your own, you're fine. Now, what I like about using like the distressed microglaze, like for my own art journal, I don't really need to seal it. I just put the distressed microglaze and you're fine, okay? And you're really like golden on that. Oh, I love that. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just only adding it at the edges. And let me just add here a little bit. Now this journal, because I'm doing top and bottom page, what happens is that I have to kind of go on an angle. Otherwise, you will not be able to see what I did. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. Now don't be afraid of black. You can always cover it up, okay? Don't be afraid of black. Oh, I love black. It's a really nice, like, I don't know what it is about black, but it actually really enhances things, if that makes sense, okay? And it frames everything too. So it really makes it look amazing. Okay, now I start feeling sometimes that things are getting too wet. And when I feel that, when I feel like, oh my gosh, everything is saturated, everything, and you will know, you will kind of get the feel of it as you go, as you grow, as you become more aware of your style. When you start feeling that it's too saturated, start drying. You can always add more. The Lindy's reactivate again and again, so you can activate them as many times as you want. But drying will give you that extra safety, that extra satisfaction that things will just remain the same way. And look how cool how it went in between the glitter. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this one so much more than that one because I used the other glitter. Yeah, so how cool is that? I'm really loving this. And I just look at the napkin texture. I don't know if you can see it right here. Oh my God, I'm gonna get burned. In the corner over here where my dryer is. Oh my gosh, the napkin texture is beyond amazing. I even want to just add the white, but the truth is that I find these little pieces that I have here with the script and the different like polka dots and things sticking out really makes a difference. Yeah. Oh, so that's a good. Okay, so Judy is asking what's the difference between mica powder and magicals. So mica powders are made out of mica, of that shimmery, like, you know, it's grinded. Sorry. You can find mica sheets and like literally in some, like, you know, on the floor sometimes. People have had people that sent them to me. And they take that and they grind them and then they color them into whatever color it is. But it's still not as strongly pigmented. These are actual pigments. They're dye pigments. So they're way stronger in color. You're going to get these really strong effects. I do have mica that doesn't do that. However, the shimmer ones of the magicals have mica in them. So therefore you can, that's where you get the shimmer from. Okay. Does that make sense? So I think that's basically the gist of it. Okay, I'm still trying to think if I need any more color, but I don't feel like I do. But first I'm going to glue the birds. So you can go, as I said, go back with the gel medium, and I'm going to glue the little bird. So I think the bird, now I'm thinking the bird maybe can go here, and doesn't have to be the exact same composition. It depends on where things fit, okay? So I feel like the two birdies can go here. Yeah, here and here, one on each page. That's good. And again, I'm going to use the thin gel medium to do that because it's glues. Now, I left at the back of this bird, I left the white part, okay, only because I really wanted it to stand out. So I wanted to have just that piece, extra piece on it. And let me just, oh, now I need my, hold on one second. I need to move stuff around. Okay, so let me now do this. And I had to cut the tail of the birds. Unfortunately, they didn't fit. If my journal was in the other direction, probably would have been okay, but okay. And that's okay. Okay, and wait, then I could put her. I'm assuming it's a her, but yeah. Okay, put her a little bit further in. Okay, and the tail I gotta go. And then for this one, now you're gonna see soon how I'm gonna make her pop. It's a very simple way. It's one of my favorite tools. You're gonna see in a second. And make sure she's the birds or whatever you're using, butterflies. I mean, believe it or not, I didn't use a butterfly today. Can't believe it myself. Oh, I like that. Okay. Oh, this is so pretty. Okay. I just haven't closed my magicals, but I honestly don't know if I still want a little bit of color or not. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to dry first the little birdies quickly, and then I'm going to show you something really, really nice. How to make things pop in your art journals, okay? With my favorite tool that I think any mixed media artist should have. It's one little pencil. I'm sure some of you know about this. It's called Stabilo All. And this writes on basically anything. So you could like go any textured surface, anything, it even writes on the glitter, okay? And what I do is I use this to outline the birds. And I have that linked below as well because it's the most useful, the cheapest and most useful tool in my craft room. I actually usually buy a whole case of them because they do last. And what's nice about this Stabilo All is, yeah, don't buy just one. Ingrid is right. Is that it actually activates with water. So what I do is I spray it a little bit, and it actually creates that shadow underneath behind the bird. Let me do the next one now. Now I saw a really nice technique by another artist called Lally Mill. And let me just show you what she did, just because I thought it was brilliant. I'm like, oh, how did I not think of this before? Okay. And I'm going to take a paintbrush and take a little bit of this gel medium, the fluid medium, okay? Just to say, so you could use it with water, or you could like use the gel medium. And she just used it to blend and create the shadow. Well, she used it for something else, but I thought, yeah, I do have the white Stabilo All. I don't use it as much as the black one. The black one is like my go-to, but there is a white one. There's red. There's different colors. So I'm blending it and creating that shadow with this. What it does, it also makes the Stabilo All, like, I mean, the actual black part permanent, okay? So that's the brilliant part of it. So seals on the spot. Yeah, that's a good way. And I hadn't thought of that until I saw it recently done by her. And how cool is that? Look how much it's popping out. Okay, now I like using the Stabilo. I mean, I already have black on my background, but I like using the Stabilo. Sometimes I will go and I will just like create markings. You can do like many different things because it writes on everything. It writes on wood, metal, plastic. It writes on everything. Honestly, it's like it's a game changer, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, you can use the gel medium to just like blend it all in. But I think I have enough black here, so I don't really need to do this specifically. Oh yeah, it is a German company. A lot of good German companies create our products. So yeah. Okay, so I'm really loving this. And what I did is as you can see in this one, I added some stamping. Now we said we are using what we have, right? Like that was like the goal of this. I went back to my stash of old stamps. I would say they're very old because they're Tim Holtz, Stampers Anonymous. I wish they would have the year on them because they don't, but they don't have if you can see, they don't have the actual picture on them. Now it does, but it's this really cool like, kind of tree branch. And I just looked for things. This little bird, he still uses it nowadays. So I just thought, let's see how that looks. Okay. Or there's also this one. Okay. So I picked some that were like, like were good for this design. And as you notice, I do not think I need more color here. I mean, obviously it's up to you, like in terms of when you do it, but I feel like I'm saturated with color. So I'm going to take some archival ink and I'm going to add. Now, as I'm looking here, I see that I have way more white. Oh, sorry, way more white in this one. So what I'm going to do is, the reason why I have more white here, and I'll explain, is because I was having a hard time with the texture and I had to cover some of it. But here I'm really loving the texture. So I'm not sure, but I do feel like it needs a little bit of white. So I might go with it a little bit more just so I could add the stamping, especially in some areas. So let me just show you what I mean. So let's go with the white here. So I'm going to add here because I want to put the branch here right underneath the bird. Now, if things are mixing too much, this is the point. This is the time where you could definitely use things like the Distress Microglaze. This is the point where you could use it, okay? And right now it's doing okay. But at some point, if the color is mixing too much, then you might need to use Distress Microglaze for it, okay? So let me add like here a little bit more. I really want this, and I really want here. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. So yeah, so I always use script stamping. I honestly always use it. Okay. So this time I'm going to use something else just to be original. I can see some script. Now here, I'm really worried that that's going to mix with my gesso because it's going to react. Gesso is a water reactive medium. So I'm afraid it's going to react. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my Distress Microglaze and I'm going to add it right here because I want to add the gesso here, but I don't want this to now suddenly be pink because that's what happened to me here. Okay. So I know that that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to now go back. And when I add this, you see what happens? It actually sealed it. Yay. So I'm able to add the white gesso without having any problems that it will actually like mix with the color. Because you see here, as soon as I'm going lower here, it's becoming gray. So if that happens, and if you don't like that, take the microglaze again, seal that, okay? And then add your gesso. Maybe it would be good at also dry in between. So if you want to add gesso, but you don't want it to mix with anything else, or you want to kind of, you see, like now it's turned really gray and I don't like that. So I'm going to go back, okay? So this is how I like fixing mistakes because I mean, yeah, it could be not a mistake, but I just know that it helps to kind of show you what to do, because like when I'm doing like a 5-minute video, it's really hard to kind of show you how to fix those mistakes. But when I'm doing a live, it is really much easier. There we go. Now it's much better because I do want this white and I don't want gray. And that's what happened. It created this gray. Okay, that's good. That's much better. Oh, I like that. Okay. Okay. And I'm not happy with this gray still here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to add more gel medium. Not gel medium, sorry. I'm going to add more of this. And that's what's going to. So I'm kind of went like this in terms of the composition, okay? All right, so awesome. And now I can go back, and the napkins really add a huge, beautiful, just a beautiful texture to everything. And I really like that. Okay, so now I have this, and I'm going to dry it because I want to show you the stamping part. And I don't have that much left, but I do want to show you something, a really cool idea. I showed it in the other video, but you can still go watch it because it's like, it's really helpful to watch like sometimes the videos in quick form or whatever, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to dry here. And I have the little birdies. And you know what? There's so many decorative napkins out there that you can find such cool designs. And honestly, it's like basically they cost sometimes $1, even or more. And you get like a huge pack of them that you can share with friends, you know. That would work. Hold on one second. Sorry, it's still wet. So yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to get these ready. So I really like these two. Let me put these aside. I should have zoomed in a little bit. I might zoom in now. Okay, let's just show you the stamping. Okay. Okay, now make sure your surface is wet, is dry, okay? My gesso is still wet somehow. I don't know why. It's taking a long time to dry. Okay, so I'm going to, you want some kind of permanent ink. And I'm going to do this for the bird. So now, obviously, I don't want to get the bird in here, but I want to get the actual branch. And I love using them like this. Oh, it was wet. You see, I was impatient, but that looks actually so cool. Okay, that looks very cool, but it was wet and it ruined it. I don't want it to ruin my stamp. So hold on, not that. Okay, let me try again. Dry, dry, dry. I'm impatient. That looks so good. I could actually fill it in. So you have an option of filling it in. You can fill. If I could fill in with the Stabilo, like the stamp. Oh, that looks so cool. You could even draw. You can even draw your own branches. Oh, I like that. Yeah, you could draw. You can even draw your own branches with it. Oh, that looks so good. Okay, so you know this is the nice about it, and even goes. The Stabilo even writes on wet stuff, which is brilliant. Okay, so there we go. So that's. Oh, I love that. Okay, let me do this side now. Okay, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to use the branch on the opposite way. So, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, so nice. So nice. Oh, I love that. Okay, and now I'm going to use these branches. I'm not even going to add as much here. So I was trying to cover up a lot because I really didn't like the texture in the other one. But here I'm loving this texture. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I am loving that. Okay, so let me just go back now. So I'll zoom out so you can actually see it. Oh my God, that looks so good. So one last little trick before I am done, because this one you're going to love. Okay, so I have to do it. Okay, I'm going to add some gel medium again. This one is one of my favorite ever techniques. You're going to add a little bit of water with it, okay, to dilute it. And what you're going to do, actually, there's two options. You can spray it directly on. Let's try a different way this time. I'm going to make it really liquidy, but I'm going to make a glittery kind of paint. And then I'm going to take, so usually what I do is I sprinkle it with the glitter. Let's see if this works too. If not, I'll do it the other way. And I'm going to, yeah, it does work. Okay. So I'm just creating some glittery splatters. Usually what I do is I just splatter the gel medium itself. And I need some more glitter here. Yeah, they're very different, but I technically follow the same steps. The only difference that I did is that in this journal, I used the thicker glitter, and here I use the thinner, if that makes sense. So it's just cut differently. Oh my gosh, I love glitter. I love splatters. And now you're getting, you see, I don't know if you can see them, but I'm getting these glittery splatters in the background, which really look great. Okay, and you can even add like dots like this if you really want to. Or you could even use this as paint, and I am going to add a little bit of glitter. So if you do love glitter, but you're afraid to use it because it goes everywhere, this is a great way. You can just use it as glittery paint, okay? And just add like highlights on it by painting them on. Okay. And yeah, it looks so nice. Well, I just might as well finish it up. And because it's so liquidy, it barely goes on here, right? Like it's just, you're getting just like these little subtle glitter effects, which I really like. Okay, so there's the option to do that. And the last thing is to add a sentiment, because I love adding sentiments to things. If I could just now find where oh, there it is. Okay. And I am going to use, so let's see. See the world, see the possibilities everywhere. I like that. See the possibilities everywhere. It's something that I really always, experimenting and just trying new things is so important for me, that I really feel like seeing the possibilities everywhere is something that I always do. And if you, hold on, I'm going to use gel medium to glue this. Okay, and let's see, where do I want to put this? See the possibilities. No, maybe here. See possibility everywhere. That's what it is. Yeah, I like that. I've never put it in the middle, but it looks cool. I never put it right in the middle. Now, because I've used so much of the gel medium, okay, these pages could stick together. So it's very important not only to dry, obviously drying is important, but so if you use some distressed microglaze, sometimes I just literally go all over it and use it everywhere. That way it seals everything and you don't get those stuck pages. It's one of my favorite techniques to do. And yeah, I really like that. So you just put it everywhere. I mean, obviously when it's dry, because right now it's not, and then you're done. So if you enjoyed this and you enjoy the work with the magicals, then this video is going to link you directly to Ingrid's if you haven't seen it. And I can't wait to see what you guys create. If you read anything inspired by this, please share it in my Facebook group. And I can't wait to see, go watch Ingrid's video and you're going to love what she created and how she monoprinted with so many things, because the magicals are just amazing. So if you want to see more magical inspiration, that's where you're going to be, right here. Bye everyone. Bye. Love you all.